Okay, today, I'm gonna be talking about the Ewoks from Star Wars. But I'm not really gonna be mentioning some of them, like Wicket, since he is already a main Ewok, or even Tebow, like here, or Poplu, or Chief Chirpa, or Logray. I'll just be mentioning the Ewoks that don't get much screen time or are not well known of, like many of them in this video, in this picture. So, let's get right to it. The first one is Lumat. So, he is Latara's father. And yes, Latara and Nisa are two female Ewoks. I'm not going to be mentioning because they are from the cartoon. I'm only going to be talking about the Ewoks that do appear in Return of the Jedi. So let's get to it. So Lumat he's like this generic Ewok that only appeared in Bright Tree Village, and also he was bowing down to C-3PO at the beginning. So not much to say about this dude. And yes, these are Google slides, like I usually use. Next is Romba. Now, he has a lot of moments in this movie, to be precise. So, Romba first appeared in where they first capture the heroes, the main characters, the protagonists, and then they all started bowing down. He started talking to Raven. Then they took them to Bright Tree Village, and also he was later seen in the battle scenes. But one of the saddest moments has to do with him. And there's this other Ewok I'll be mentioning later. I'm not going to mention his name yet, but there was a video about him on. Go check that video out, but it is age restricted because it is about depression. But I'm surprised he was continuing the battle because I thought he quit the battle for depression after his lost friend, and yeah, but I bet he was tough to get through it. So, next. Next is Warrock. He is Tebow's father, but like Lumat, he looks like a generic Ewok. He was seen bowing down to C-3PO, but I don't know if he was in the battle. Next is Leektar. So Leektar is one of the more well-known ones. No Ewok looks like that. A black Ewok with a skull. A black Ewok with a skull. A lot of Ewoks have like a skull on their head, but a black Ewok with a skull on the head, no one looks like him. So he was seen at Bright Tree Village. I don't know if he was at the battle, but he was at Bright Tree Village. Well, when Leia pops out of the hut, he is seen like right next to her. My phone, my Chromebook's no. My laptop is dirty. So, but he was also seen at the celebration doing drums. Next is Nippet, the baby Ewok. Nippet is the one that's circled, the one in the middle, the centered one. So, Nippet is this baby Ewok who is Latara's brother and Zephy's mother. Yeah, Zephy. We're gonna go on to next her. So, yeah, he's just this baby Ewok. Not much to say. Next are two different Ewoks. Stemzy is this guy. Chubray is this guy. Chubray, whatever his name is. So, Chubray, whatever you want to call him. So, Stemzy, let's talk about him first. So, Stemzy is this. Yeah, he looks weird, but he was first seen carrying C-3PO at the front, and later he was seen at the battle using catapults. Chubray, on the other hand, he was not seen at the village, but rather he was seen when they first bowed down C-3PO. He was seen at the back, and he was also seen everywhere in the battle, like jumping, like running away from ATSTs, like getting away from the explosions, all that. He was like, he's a very skilled Ewok. He knows everything, like Bright Tree Village, and I consider these two like best friends, and yeah, this picture is funny right here. I consider these two as best friends, and these two were used. Yeah, he was also using the catapult state behind this guy. Next is the only dead Ewok on the list, and if you watch Return of the Jedi, you probably know this guy. It's a very sad scene, even though I didn't cry in it. This guy's name is Nanta. Now, remember that I previously mentioned Ramba, like earlier in the video, But yeah, this is the same exact Ewok that Ramba cried over, and surprisingly, he was seen like, oh my gosh. Yeah, he was seen bowing down C-3PO behind an unnamed Ewok that he was like talking to for a bit. When they told him to bow down, the Great Ewok told Nanta to bow down to the Ewoks. But most notably, he was seen at the battle, during battles, battling with Ramba. But the most memorable scene, of course, I mentioned so many times earlier that he was shot dead. Ramba was crying over his body. And yeah, I didn't cry, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people cried in this scene. Next, let's move on to something more positive. Let's move on. Next is Whittle and Wonka. So, well, you may not. So, okay. So, Whittle is Wicket's brother. Wonka is. Yeah. He's another Ewok to another. He's like this. Yeah. He is a brother to another black Ewok. But I'm not racist here, but it's just how it is. Okay. He is brother to another Black Ewok, but he is more well known. So let's talk about both. So Whittle is yeah. I bet he was seen bowing down C-3PO, but he was not seen, even though he was seen in the behind the scenes photo, and I'll show you for a bit right here. So and but these two were most notably seen. Okay, Wonka was not seen in the bowing scene or bright. Neither of these two appeared in Bright Tree Village, but they did appear in the battle. One cool memorable scene, I forgot, but okay. So they hijacked an ATSD with Chewbacca. They were helping him, and it was really funny when they got to the ATSD. These two got in the the second driver. The first one was thrown out by Chewbacca, but when these two got in, they start hitting him and everything, and they leave him inside, which was really funny. And then they started controlling the ATST, shooting stormtroopers and other ATSTs. It was a really funny scene. Now let's move on. Flitchy, he was not seen that much. His only scene was, it was quite memorable, and he's the one with the he's the one that pops up with the photo. This is his only scene where he pops up with the blaster out of a bush up a tree. And he's like, yeah. He's like that. He's like happy to see ATSC is going like blasted. Next is Grak. This this is another striped Ewok, and he only appeared in a couple scenes where they bowed down C-3PO behind Nanta and the Great Ewok, and he was also seen in the battle. This is the battle scene. It was only 1 second, but he is the one that alarms the Ewoks that shoot arrows. Next are 3 more Ewoks. Now, in the next slide, there's 3 Ewoks, but only 1 appeared in the movie. But I included 3 because I didn't want to separate him. Keel, Keech, Ketch, and Machuk. So these two did not appear in Return of the Jedi, but you can use them for background Ewoks if you want to do stop motion. But Keel Keech, even though he's not the actual real Keel Keech, I call him that because the figure, yeah, these were figures. The figure of Keel Keech, this is a 3-pack, and Keel Keech has a pink hood just like the movie. But even though he looks a lot like Ramba, but he has a different hood on. And they have the same color and same facial expression. And he's considerably an unnamed Ewok, but he was seen bowing down C-3PO. He was not seen at Bartree Village, but he was seen using the catapult in the battle. The same scene where they use Stemsy and Shrewberry. And he was standing next to Ramba. And that was it for his screen time. And he ran away when the ATST was like mad and they all ran away. Thankfully, they escaped alive and get to live another day. Next is Nikki, and yes, he is a gray Ewok. This is a black and white photo, but Nikki's hood is brown. If you watch the movie, he was seen. He was not seen, but okay, I'll show you a photo. Like Whittle, he was not seen, but he was there. That guy right there, that's Nikki. Okay, but he has some cool scenes. One, he was like all the Ewoks like cramming into each other, trying to get look. He was at the very very back, trying to push the other Ewoks. Like he's like, wait, I don't want to say anything. Like he's jumping. He's a short Ewok, and yes, he is young. And at the very ending, he was dancing with Wicked. He was like dancing all over, and he was doing cartwheels, and he was doing some cool dances. Next is Zephy, or Nippet and Latara's mother. And another fun fact, yeah, she's considered a mother Ewok that was only seen in the village. Here she's carrying a baby Ewok. Also, fun fact, she is Lumat's father. She is like the mother Ewok of the tribe. Next, we're moving on to the more obscure side of Ewoks. There is this guy named Breathup. And yeah, and he's the least obscure because he does have merchandise. Wait, let me scroll down. Yeah, out of all the Ewoks on the obscure side, he's the only one with official merchandise. So Breathup is a pretty obvious Ewok to see. I can tell by each face mark of the Ewoks. I can tell which one now. I know all about these guys. So Breathup was seen at Bright Tree Village. I don't think he was seen at the battle, but he was seen at Bright Tree Village, like worshiping C-3PO, and at the ending he was using those stormtrooper and pilot helmets as drums. Next is Fufunik. Now Fufunik, yep, this Ewok appeared in the battle only, and he was seen attacking an AT-ST foot. No, the Ewoks in this obscure side, not really much to say about. Next is this creepy Ewok. I call this guy the soulless Ewok because this guy has no pupils. His name is Kangada. He was only seen bowing C-3PO. Not much to say. Next is Wispef. Yeah, this photo is not good quality, but it's the best I could find. Wispef is this guy. He was seen bowing C-3PO, and I bet that was his only scene. Most of these photos are behind the scenes photos. This is a behind the scenes photo right here, and not much to say about this. Like I said, next is Wajunki. When Nippet was on screen, you can see him in the background. That's him, and he was like looking at C-3PO in some shots, and that was it. Next is Raven. Now finally we're getting to some Ewoks that have a little more screen time. So Raven is this Ewok. He's the one that talked to Ramba during the bowing scene. And also, wait, what did he there's this, and he was also seen in the battle, like successfully attacking the AT-ST stormtroopers and the speeder bikes. He is a very skilled and athletic Ewok. Next is Kazak. Now the unnamed Ewok to talk about earlier looked just like him. And yes, I'm also not going to be talking about Ewoks from Caravan of Courage or the Battle of Endor, but there's this Ewok named Kank, who's the Ewok priestess and looks just like Kazak and that great Ewok. And yeah, he was bowing down C-3PO, and that's all I'm going to say about him. I think he was in the battle too, but I didn't pay close attention. Barnison, now he's pretty obscure. We don't know much about him. He's just this brown Ewok. We don't know if he's like all around the place or not. Terrace, now this Ewok, he's seen all over Bright Tree Village. He's like in the whole entire scene. Like he's like all over the place is the Bright Tree Village. like standing next to the Ewok crowd. I didn't know he was there. Now the last of the named Ewoks is Lakotub. Now Lakotub, I bet he was seen at the bowing scene, but he was at Brighttree Village on the battle. I am not exactly sure, but I know he's in there somewhere. Now let's move on to the Ewoks that do not have names, but I gave them names. Now the gray Ewok right here. So yeah, this is the Ewok I was talking about. He was the guy talking to Nanta. He was bowing, and he looks like Kazak, as you see earlier. But I gave these guys names, and he was also seen in the battle. I named him Keith. Keith. Next is this striped Ewok that looks like Grak. He was seen in the celebration as well. I'm not sure about the battle. I think he's the guy that he was like jumping in the battle. No, I mean, not in the battle, the celebration. He was like jumping. It's like a dance. I named him Rojar. Next is this Ewok that was only seen in the bowing scene. He was like talking to Paploo after, like, I think Han was like angry. He's like, "Why are you?" And then all the Ewoks like point their spears at him, and he was like talking to Paploo like how crazy he was, and his name is Ezekiel. Next is this brown Ewok that was probably seen in the battle. This screenshot. His name is Crad. He was probably in the battle, I think. Next is this Ewok who was seen in Brighttree Village. I named him Connell. Next is this Ewok with a white chin. Like, he looks just like this guy, but with a different hood. But they are different. His name is Pofta. Next is this guy. This guy with this black Ewok with a white face. And yes, I am not being racist. I named him Victor. Next is this Ewok who looks like Toka, but I bet he's different. I think he is different from Toka, even though he looks just like him. I named him Car. Next is this Ewok who looks very unique. This guy. And he has like the skull in the head, and he has like a different skull and head, and he has gray stripes, gray and black stripes. He's really cool. He looks like Leek Tar, but in a different variation. His name is Edwill. I call him. Next is this Ewok blowing the horn. The scene where the Ewoks blow the horns at the battle, alarming the other Ewoks. I named him Guk. Next is this guy. I'm not exactly sure. He's probably Terra's, but he looks more like Lumat. That's why I don't know who he is. So I named him Jal. Next is this Ewok blowing the horn. He's another Ewok. He looks like Whittle, but I think he is different because of the hood color. I named him Kalk. Next is this another Ewok that looks like Whittle, but I bet he is different. He's like, hey, he looks like Whittle, but he has a different facial expression, and he has a different kind of red hood color, and the red and the hood. Let's compare it to Whittle. That's Whittle, right here. You see Whittle? Let's compare him. Whittle, he's like smiling, but this Ewok, he's not. And the hood is more of like a reddish pink. His is pure red. So I named him Volkak. Next is this Ewok. I'm not exactly sure who he is. He looks like Breathup with a brown hood. So I named him Wachik. Next is this Ewok that's smoking. He's kind of memorable. With a brown face, I named him Smokey, which is pretty clever and obvious. Next is this generic Ewok. I named him Her. It's a female. I named her Lilia. Next is this Ewok. Yeah, I don't know this Ewok. I'm not exactly sure who he is, but I named him Frack. Next is this generic Ewok named Hasha. It's a female Ewok. Next is Tacker. Yeah, Tacker. Brown Ewok. Next is this Ewok I named him Nog. This guy, this great Ewok. Next is this Ewok. This brown Ewok with the white chest I named him Yaskar. Next is this other Ewok with the distinguished marking face. I named him Makar. Next is this Ewok with you've seen the bowing scene. I'm not exactly sure where these guys. I bet he was at the celebration. He was at the C3PO story scene. I'm not exactly sure where he is. Not him. Not him. Not him. He was at Bright Tree Village. I'm not exactly sure what those Ewoks are. Oh, this. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Okay, so this guy, this brownish tan Ewok, I bet. Yeah, he looks oddly familiar, but I know he's behind Warrock and Romba in Kazak in the bowing scene. He was bowing at the C3PO. I named him Ruffed. Next is this gray Ewok. It's very hard to see his face. You can only see his teeth and some of his fur. He's white and gray. I named him Paxer. I'm not exactly sure who he is. Next is this Ewok, generic Ewok named Taiwan. Next is this female Ewok called Efante, brown Ewok. Another female Ewok named Bishback. This obscure looking Ewok I found kind of interesting. It's the same. He was in that behind the scenes photo. He was behind Nanta and Ramba. I will show you a photo right here. You see him behind those guys, and he is in front of Chubre and Fufunik. And I named him Kajaf. This great Ewok in the same photo behind. He is in front of Nanta and Ramba, named Walbin. This Ewok all over the battle. I'm not exact. Okay, I bet he was at Bright Tree Village, possibly him too. She was at the ending at when the Ewoks celebrate when the Death Star's gone. Not sure. I'm not sure. No, I think he was there at the. I know he was at the battle. Yeah, I know he was at the battle and the Ewoks celebrated after they saw the Death Star explode. He was there. And this guy, he was seen all over the battle. I know it's the same individual, but he doesn't have a name. But I named him Jumbo. This Ewok, I know he's very significant. I know who he is. He's this brown Ewok. He looks kind of like Ramba, but not exactly sure. I named him Hanjim. This other Ewok with the white face and the green hood with the tan body, I named her Frenda. These two were like, when that ETC would destroy their a bunch of Ewoks. One of them being, there was like, okay, I'll show you a GIF. I'll show you a GIF. Oh, come on. Yeah, this GIF right here. Yeah, this is where these guys came from. This is Frenda. This is the scene where Whittle and Wonka and Chewbacca control the ATSD. The one right here, I bet it's Lako Tupper Wisbeth. That's Ramba. And this guy right here was used for the same costume as Whittle, but even though he's a different Ewok. So, and this Ewok, he's this gray Ewok from the battle, I believe. I named him Janku. And this last Ewok right here, I'm not sure where he is. I named him Zeke. And that is all for the Ewoks, guys. Like, subscribe, and goodbye. Seeing you in the next video.